Barrett Moda Center as the U.S. Junior National Select Team, featuring some of the best high school seniors in the country, takes on the World Select Team, which has some of the top young talents from around the globe. And for the United States, the #1 point guard in this senior class, Tre Jones, future teammate of R.J. Barrett at Duke, will run the show. U.S. in the white, the world in the black uniforms. Jalen Horde, another player to watch for the world, headed to Wake Forest, joining Barrett in the starting lineup. We're playing with international rules tonight. Cam Reddish gets the scoring started for the United States.
How impressive the pass, though, from Quentin Grimes headed to Kansas. 6 in the white.
Yeah, Bill Self's going to love him. He compares him to Darren Williams, one of his former players at Illinois.
Now Reddish with the defensive play, starting the break. But Horde comes up with the steal. 4 10-minute quarters tonight. The extended three-point line compared to the college game. 5 fouls puts the opponent in the bonus, and a foul inside on Bol Bol. Now, one thing that makes this game different than the last 2 All-Star showcases, guys, is there is a commitment to winning in this game. It just has a different vibe to it.
It always has, because there's a, first of all, the USA team is playing for USA basketball. It's the same family of teams that the United States senior men's national team is. That's the Olympic team, made up of NBA players. This is their first opportunity to wear the red, white, and blue for many of them. And then for the world team, they come over wanting to show USA guys what they got, what kind of game they have. But a lot of those guys have already played against each other, Paul, because the world kids are in the high school programs, many of them.
Yes, and this game is special because it's not an all-star game, but it's a game that's laced with stars. And winning is a priority. And they practice for 3 or 4 days together, and they have shoot-arounds. Everything is game-like, and this game is for bragging rights, but it's competitive.
Well, that's more defense right there than I saw in the Jordan game, right there. That first little play by Dos Santos.
Come on now.
Well, the guy who was at the line for the world, Charles Bassey from Nigeria, guaranteed victory for the world earlier this week. Said the world simply has the better team. Bassey with the steal. Here is Barrett.
See,
and Barrett lays it home.
That's what makes him special in the high school game, and that's what's going to make him special at Duke. Barrett thrives in the transition game, goes right to the rack, doesn't avoid contact, great finisher, and a good free throw shooter.
Barrett playing in his 2nd straight Nike Hoop Summit. He was coming off his sophomore season in high school last year, reclassified to the class of 2018.
It would have been unfair if he went back to high school next year.
Yeah, same with Marvin Bagley. He
Exactly.
reclassified. Can you imagine if he was a senior this year in high school basketball?
United States down to 10 players because of injury, including 3 players who rank in the top 10 in the ESPN 100. Darius Baisley, number 9 in the rankings, of course, has made a shocking decision to forego college, going straight to the G League.
I watch him play. He reminds me of Anthony Randolph, who played at LSU, then in the NBA, and now playing overseas.
Very athletic, Darius Baisley. Very athletic.
Bol Bol, the block shot. There are a lot of Oregon Ducks fans in the building. You love to see that. Barrett, a whirlwind in transition. He draws the foul.
Yeah, I think Dana Altman's going to like this. You think about it. They're going to have Kenny Wooten, who had a terrific year for the Ducks, blocking shots. And now you add Bol Bol. They're going to be really tough to score on. The Oregon Ducks will be next season.
And Dana Altman sold Bol Bol on the fact, Chris Boucher, 6'10", shot blocker, 3-point shooter. Bol Bol has that same profile. Shot it at over 40% in the EYBL. In fact, he was the MVP of the EYBL this past summer. He just needs to play with that effort that we talk about. He's starting to pick it up, though. He was tremendous last night in the scrimmage in front of the NBA scouts.
And you asked him, Paul, earlier today at shoot-around, why have you turned it on all of a sudden? He says, I hear the criticism. As Bol knocks down the jumper, he says, I need to play with more effort.
Yeah, he says, too many people are saying I don't play hard enough, so that's what I'm going to start doing.
Well, he's right.
And that's good that he's listening. That shows that he's coachable, Fran.
Exactly. 10% of his game is the spectacular, but it's the other 90%. Not losing the ball in double teams, using that length right there. But if he recognizes he doesn't play hard, which in my opinion is a true statement for much of his career, it's going to make him a better player because he can be dominant.
And he has been dominant. When he turns it on, like I said, when you're the MVP of the EYBL, you're really good.
Baptiste Choife from France, the lay-in for the world.
He's one of.
And by the way, Bobo put me on that list of people who said he doesn't play hard. He told me.
I think it's fair.
You know, I don't know. Kids sometimes don't want to hear it though, Frank.
Well, I think a lot of times they don't realize they're not playing hard. You know, because they oftentimes, as you see Mike Jones from DeMatha, they don't. Great coach at DeMatha. They dominate their level of play without having to turn it on all the time. We'll talk about this later. Who are the junkyard dogs in this class going to college? Who's the next Javon Carter or Aaron Holiday going to college?
Roy Randall, the head coach, in his 8th season for the World. In fact, has led the World to 3 of their 6 victories in the history of this event. The United States 14-6 all time.
And by the way, he was the coach of Canadian national team that
Won the gold.
That's right, won the FIBA Under-19 World Championship gold last summer. The first championship for Canada in basketball at any level.
Beat a John Calipari coached U.S. team in the semifinals of that event.
And he's the head coach at Ryerson College in Canada. I asked him what level it was. He says it's like the America East Conference. You know, we're Division I.
I think so. They've got a great team up there, Carleton, that usually knocks off a lot of our top college teams on those summer tours.
Now Bol again, showing off the range, but couldn't hit this time. His dad loved to shoot threes. Bol can actually make them, and that being from 15 feet, Bol will step out from time to time. There's a player I know you love, Fran, and Tre Jones.
Yeah, and I was just going to ask Paul that. How do you compare Tre and his older brother, now in the NBA with the Minnesota team too?
Well, Tre's the better defender, and he's the better distributor.
Yep.
In terms of, you know, driving and distributing. Tyus, the better shooter, the better passer. So they're really different, and Tre Jones just needs that three-point shot. He's got to get that knockdown open shot. It's not there yet.
His brother Tyus played in this game 4 years ago.
Brother Tyus doing a great job with Tom Thibodeau and the Timberwolves, who just clinched for the playoffs.
First time since 2004, Minnesota heading to the postseason.
I love this kid as a leader. The one thing I'd like to say to him to get better, he's got to be a little bit more verbal, a little bit more vocal as a leader. But make no mistake about it, he's going to be the leader next year at Duke.
Well, the one thing about Coach K, he's always done, he's always cultivated leadership, and he will get on this young man if he's not a vocal leader.
He's won 2 state championships in high school, and this year they lost at the buzzer, which would have been his 3rd state championship at Apple Valley. Plays for Zach Goring.
His record in 5 years, 143-13. He played varsity as an 8th grader at Apple Valley.
Kid's a straight-up winner.
I think he played with his older brother that 8th grade.
He sure did. Barrett leaves it for N'Faly Dante, the youngest player in this game at 16 years old. And Horde fouled on the putback. And we've got a timeout here in Rip City, the U.S. with a 9-6 lead here at the Nike Hoop Summit. Are you sure? Is that real? And Paul's like, yes, I wouldn't make that up.
Oh, no, no.
He's my brother.
I'm not tweeting that. I don't tweet out fake news either.
No.
Come on now.
We had a fake open.
This is a kid I like, Jalen Horde. He came to the States a couple summers ago. Paul knows him well because he played in North Carolina, and his high school coach is Keith Gatlin.
Yes.
A great point guard at Maryland for Lefty Drizel. And a teammate of his in France, Antoine Horde, who played at Murray State, is the father of this young man, and he's going to be a very good player at Wake Forest.
Bob Kachia played at Washington. Great basketball bloodline for Jalen Horde, who brings it up now.
Yeah, I love his versatility, friend. The ability to usually make a good decision, but that time he didn't.
Tre Jones couldn't convert.
I think Jalen Horde will be a great addition for Danny Manning at Wake Forest.
Horde blocked again. It's Bol defensively. Grimes the scoop off the mark.
And remember, FIBA rules, you can knock that ball off the rim if it's on the rim.
Now Bazley gets hit on the block body here in the first quarter. Now Bazley's length, Paul, it seemed like it would have been a perfect fit in that Syracuse zone. As Bazley now flushes it, but headed to the G League instead.
Made that decision. He wants to develop his game and go to the NBA, and that's certainly his right, and that is an option to go. You can stay in high school, maybe go to prep school for a 5th year. You can go over to Europe. You can go to Australia. Fran, I know you mentioned that.
Yep.
Or you can go to G League. There's different ways to get there, and he picked the G League.
I agree with his right to make that decision. I think he's making a huge mistake. I know a little bit about the G League, and that is going to be a major adjustment for him. He is not going to be, he's going to be drafted by a G League team, and then, but no matter who drafts him, he'll be in next year's 2019 NBA draft. He's going to find that it's not going to come easy for him in the G League. All the veterans will play against. I hasten to say this, but I'll use it. I haven't said this in a long time. He's 2 years away from being 2 years old. I think when he's 24, 25, 26, he's got a chance to play meaningful minutes in the NBA, but certainly not in the near future.
You may have to change that to 4 years away.
Well,
4 years away.
He's athletic, and he's going to get stronger, and he's going to mature.
Oh, he's talented.
And he's
very
talented.
But that G League, I talked to George Niang, Tony Bradley from the Jazz the other night, who've been in the G League, and the word they both used was finished by Jones. Grind. It's 50 games, bus rides. When they go back to back,
no charters.
They go commercial. You know, peanut butter and jelly is your pregame meal, and you got to make it yourself. Lack of facilities,
no question.
And grown men that don't want you in their league.
They want to. Nobody wants to be in the G League.
Right.
They want to be in the NBA, and I don't care if you're a coach, referee, or player. Nobody wants to be in the G League, and this young man wants to be. So we wish him well. I agree with his right to make that decision. I just think it's not the right decision for him.
Josh Green with back-to-back buckets for the world. Intriguing prospect from Australia. Plays his high school ball at IMG Academy in Bradenton, Florida. Paisley almost came up with the steal. Nembhard the lob to his high school teammate and his best friend, R.J. Barrett.
Andrew Nembhard had 13 assists in the championship game at the Geico Nationals against the university school. In my mind, the best assist maker in the high school game, headed to play for Mike White of Florida.
And he's reclassified, right? He should have been a guy going back to high school next year. I talked to Mike White earlier in the week, and he absolutely loves this kid, and he is going to step in right away because they lose Chris Chiozza.
He just sees the game, one pass, one play ahead, willing to give it up quickly. Good open shooter, great body.
The way Barrett describes him, he seems like he's got eyes in the back of his head. Barrett turns it over. Grimes to Paisley for the jam.
And Paisley's best in space, open floor. He's more finesse than physical. He's more prospect than player. He will develop. It just may take a little longer, I think, for him through that G League.
He's the high school pitcher who throws 97, but you're not putting him in the major leagues right away. He's got to go down to the minor leagues and work on his game.
Cam Reddish drawing contact. The young big man and Fale Dante.
Yeah, this is great. Watch the eye contact right now. Sees it. He knows he's got this guy behind defense. Bobo finishes.
That's the play Mike Jones worked on yesterday.
Yeah.
He called it the Kansas play where they screened the top of the zone. How about Nembhard to Paisley? I'm sorry, that was Grimes to Paisley.
Quentin Grimes, what a great story he is. His older brother, Tyler Myers, plays for the Winnipeg Jets. In the NHL, they're playing the Minnesota Wild tonight, and he put him on the board first with the goal. He's older, he's 10 years older, his half-brother, but they're very close, and both of these guys competing tonight, different stages.
On big stages, no doubt about it. Tyler's a defenseman, Quentin Grimes, a shooting guard here for Team USA.
I wonder if it was a one-timer.
Yeah.
I love saying that, one-timer.
You made a great point, friend, that Bill Self talked about. Darren Williams type body. Played at the Colony School, remember, for Tommy Thomas?
Absolutely.
That thick body, that good jump shot, and could read the game.
Yeah, Quentin Grimes is going to be a big addition right away for Kansas. They are loaded next year. Kansas team is, I thought this year's Kansas team might have been one of the least talented Kansas teams in the Bill Self era. They got to the Final Four, but next year's Kansas team got everything.
And they got Devon Dotson, a real speedy, tough winning point guard from North Carolina, and Big David McCormick, who's been ripping down rebounds all week long here at the Hoop Summit.
Just checked in here in the final minute of this first quarter.
Now that guy has dog in him.
He's on the list, Fran.
He plays hard, and they are going to love him at Kansas. He's not a guy that I think is a one-and-done guy. He may be there all 4 years, and boy, does he talk. Does he play hard.
Darius Garland in for Team USA. Spelling Trey Jones, the #2 ranked point guard in the senior class. Final seconds of the first period. Cole Swider, one of the purest shooters in this class, off target, and we have reached the end of the first quarter in Portland, Oregon, at the home of the Portland Trailblazers, Moda Center, the 21st Nike Hoop Summit. Ted Emmerich, Fran Fraschilla, Paul Biancardi, the end of the road for the class of 2018, final organized game with some of the top high school seniors in the country and beyond as the U.S. takes on the world. Nicky Brazdeikis has checked in for the world from Canada, born in Lithuania. John Beilein's going to love him at Michigan.
Well, he's going to fit right in, isn't he?
Ooh,
skilled inside
I love
and
him.
out. Yep.
Tough kid, 6'7", lefty, can play the 4 because he's so strong. He's got the three-point shot.
Well, in an air offense, you know, it's just there's no real positions, you know, who really fit it. And if I had a favorite guard in this game, it's this guy, Darius Garland. I think his shooting's improved. I think he's going to be a point guard. And boy, is he going to he's going to get a great opportunity to play for Bryce Drew. You know what's interesting, and I know Paul knows this, they got to know each other at Bryce Drew's camp at Valparaiso because this young man grew up in Gary, Indiana, the son of Winston Garland, who played in the NBA for quite a while.
Garland says he's known Bryce Drew since he was about 4 years old. What a coup for Vanderbilt, the first player signed with Vandy to play in this event. As Green with the nifty move, the Australian with 2.
When Bryce Drew got that Vanderbilt job, it's one of the first calls he made was Darius Garland.
Smart guy. And he's a great kid, too.
Fabulous kid.
Yeah.
His mom, Felicia, dad, you mentioned Winston. Brazdeikis in the open floor. World trying to get some buckets in transition because the size and the length of the U.S. team is tough at the rim with Bol Bol at 7'2".
Here's an SEC matchup right now, Nembhard and Garland.
Garland's got the speed on Nembhard.
And another future SEC player knocks down the jumper, Tyler Hero, who has drawn comparisons to Devin Booker.
He's got a beautiful pull-up jump shot. I mean, he's built his reputation as a shooter, and he is going to bring some outside jumpers to John Calipari, who needs that next year. Cal's bringing in a class with a lot of offensive firepower on the perimeter. Just a drive and kick by Garland. How about that pull-up? See, that's where he's best.
I thought you were going to say Rex Chapman.
Oh, I like that even better. But see the little shot fake, the one
Yes.
dribble pull-up? He finds open space and knocks it down.
You know what I like about John Calipari's team next year? Not all those guys are leaving for the NBA. And those freshmen that are going to be sophomores next year are going to be a year better with the class coming in. And a couple guys late, Paul, right? They just picked up 2 5-star guys in the last 2 weeks.
E.J. Montgomery, 6'10". Just think of Tayshaun Prince, who played at Kentucky, longtime NBA player. They also picked up Ashton Hagans. He's in the class of 219. He's trying to reclassify. If he reclassifies and joins that group, wow, watch out.
A lot of guys.
That's a lot of guys, a lot of talent. Ashton Hagans.
A lot of mouths to feed. A lot of guys to keep happy.
There's only, 200 minutes in the game for him. But I tell you what, that class has offensive firepower from the outside, great size with the guards. Keldon Johnson, who's not playing in this game with an ankle sprain. A hard-playing dude, friend, that you like.
Yes.
Iago Dos Santos leaving it for Kofi Cockburn from Jamaica, a late addition to the world roster.
Something fell from the rim when Kofi Cockburn just dunked it. He looked like a little Shaq or Udoka Azubuike.
Paul, when we saw Cockburn at Christ the King High School earlier this year as part of our high school showcase, Cockburn is a guy whose head coach Joe Arbitello says wants to stuff you and the ball through the rim.
Joe Arbitello, one of the best high school coaches in the United States, hands down. Love his dedication to the game. Love the way he develops players and wins city championships, friend, in your part of town, New York City.
Oh, yeah. What a great history, too, at Christ the King. You think of all the great players. Lamar Odom, Khalid Reeves, Derek Phelps, who won a national title at North Carolina. Through the years, it's been, arguably one of the great programs in the country.
Cockburn moved to the U.S. 3 years ago to join his mom, Dorothy, who was already here in a one-room apartment. Cockburn has developed steadily as a player on the court. 39th in the ESPN 60, the junior class. Hero late in the shot clock. Brazdeikis falling down. Garland scooping it up, and a foul is called. It's on Iago Dos Santos.
He did a little too much right there. He loved the ball handling. Looked like he was going to get out in the open court and just fell down. And this kid Dos Santos, a little guy, almost made the Brazilian national team last summer. He was in their training camp. And, you know, that's a country that's produced some really good NBA players like Varejao, Leandro Barbosa, Raul Neto is with the Utah Jazz right now. He's a good player for that Brazilian national team.
And he is a great on-ball defender.
Yes, he is.
He gets in you and he gets under you.
Trying to stick with Garland, close to the baseline. Bol back in, and the putback.
All he has to do is just go to the rim. The ball will fall to him.
The odds were good that he was going to find the ball that time.
He just needs to go to the rim and put his hands up. Look at the jump
Vegas
stop.
slashing in, did everything but finish.
John Beilein will appreciate that jump stop.
The world seeking their first victory in this game since 2015 when Jamal Murray went off for 30 points. Jordan Brown is checked in for the U.S., grabbing the rebound from Roseville, California, near Sacramento. Undecided as to where he's going to play college.
Tell you what, 8 in the white Jordan Brown is a fundamentally sound big.
Brazdeikis off the lob from Green. Swider left alone. That's too easy for the future Villanova Wildcats.
Somehow, Jay Wright, who's now in Italy, by the way, this weekend, but I think that kid's going to fit in the Villanova system, Paul.
Number 10 recruiting class in the country. They got Javon Quinterly, Brandon Slater, Cole Swider, one of the best pure shooters in the game, hands down. He'll be a pick and pop, four-man.
Yeah.
You can put him in dribble handoffs. He's more than a shooter now. He can put the ball on the
no
deck.
doubt. Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, he is a confident shooter and a competitive player.
Villanova put 5 shooters on the floor this year, and that's why this guy's going to get an opportunity next year to fill in for guys like Mikal Bridges and Jalen Brunson as they go to the NBA.
Swider got the call Tuesday to join the U.S. after Zion Williamson and Romeo Langford went down with injuries. Flew in Wednesday, and his first practice was the following day.
He's got a high IQ. He just fits.
So Santos sprinting ahead, and the foul is called. And we've got a timeout.
They were raving about him then, and he picked what seems to be a great spot for him because of the style of play at Villanova.
Swider, the first Rhode Island native to play in the Nike Hoop Summit. Could he move up in the final rankings in the ESPN 100, which come out next Tuesday on ESPN.com, Paul?
Ask the guy to my right.
Ask the Italian to my left.
No, I'm in your neighborhood.
Fran, I try to extract information out of him. It's always tough.
If I tell you, you just can't tell anybody.
Okay. Well, don't worry, nobody's listening. Pass got away from Grimes, looking for David McCormick. R.J. Barrett back in for the World. His high school teammate Kevin Zhang. Shot clock resets to 14 under FIBA rules.
I love that. 24-second clock.
I just love hearing about a shot clock.
Yes.
Let's get one in the high school game. Let's get a national shot clock with a universal time.
Barrett the scoop,
So
and with the right hand, his offhand.
So everybody plays with a shot clock. Every state, every town, every city, girls, guys, we got to catch up to the game.
The reason I love the shot clock is because it promotes skill development. Because when you have a low clock like 30 or 24, everybody on the floor has got to be able to handle and pass the ball. And that's why you see in Europe with the 24-second clock, Paul, I know you're a big proponent of this, that the big guys are skilled because they're trained early to handle the ball because of the shot clock.
Both of you guys deal with the abuse on Twitter from people who don't want to see a high school shot clock for some reason.
No, I see it coming around, I do. And a lot of it is cost, which is nonsense because those shot clocks are, you get them for $500 a piece. A lot of people think talent will overwhelm the less talented team. That's not true. Good coaching will get good shots or keep a team from getting good shots.
I'll tell you what I'm tired of. Seeing a team up in the third quarter just holding the basketball, playing keep away. There'll be more possessions in the game. Fran, you mentioned it. skill development, players will be more skilled, and they'll be able to have to think the game and read the game. The shot clock winding down.
What a look from Barrett to Charles Bassey, the third-ranked player in the ESPN 60.
See, that's a big underrated part of Barrett's game. He's known as a scorer. That's what he does. But I'll tell you what, he's got playmaking abilities from that small forward spot.
You just watch his body language. He's into this game.
He's in every game.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter if you play a playground game or a 3-on-3. He's always engaged.
He's got such a business-like approach, R.J. Barrett. Everything is important to him, and he treats everything with the same importance.
Well, in 2 years, he's going to be a business, so he might as well get used to it.
Swider back to Grimes. And Swider puts it home.
Cole's got a little George Niang in his
I'll
game.
tell you what, I haven't seen an athlete, Fran, as dynamic, powerful, and explosive as Zion Williamson. LeBron James, Vince Carter, they don't have his girth and power.
Yeah, I heard you say that on an earlier broadcast. That's high praise. I've watched these guys. I don't know. I know they're going to be picked in the top 5, but with 4 freshman starters, once again, I think they can get to the Final Four, but I wouldn't bet on a young team again next year versus some of the teams that are going to bring back a lot of veterans. Kansas is going to be older. Villanova will be older. Kentucky will be older because of that sophomore class.
And I think that Duke roster will not play as much zone because that is a switching man-to-man team. And offensively, you're going to have to pick your poison defensively playing against Duke because they all create different mismatches. You can put all 3 of them inside in the paint.
Timeout for the U.S. 1-point game with just over 2 minutes left.
Scrimmages, Paul. I was really impressed with both teams. Their effort when they scrimmaged some, what would you call it? The Portland Generals, right? Made up some college.
Yeah, local talent.
Yeah, local talent. And I thought the effort was really good. And this guy right here, I mentioned him earlier. He's definitely not a one-and-done guy, I don't think. But David McCormick, they are going to love him at Kansas because he is engaged on both ends of the floor. And he's going to be a really good workman-like big guy.
Great big guy, and he knows who he is, and he's comfortable in his skin. He's a true center. He embraces playing in the paint and at the rim. About the Portland Generals, how about the performance by Kevin Porter, headed to USC? ESPN top 100 player. He played with a chip on his shoulder last night. He was fantastic.
Somebody was smart enough to put him in the ESPN top 100. I know you knew about him, but you know what's interesting? NBA scouts were impressed with him.
I don't know. They were coming up to me after Fran asked me, who is that guy?
Yep.
And they thought he played as good or better than all the guys on the U.S. team.
This game churns out stars. The past 8 #1 overall NBA draft picks have appeared here at the Nike Hoop Summit.
Paul just got a tweet about the possibility of tanking for Bol Bol, you know?
Somebody tweeted at me, we need a tank for Bol Bol. I won't say what franchise it was.
Little zone right now for the world team out of the timeout, 2-3 zone.
Yeah, Jones late in the shot clock, too strong.
Yeah, they call that a brick.
Barrett at his best in attack mode. He's got 13 in this first half.
And one of the things that R.J. Barrett does so incredibly well, the body control. When he gets into the lane, he can change, twist. He can go over you or around you, and he's always fixated at the rim.
Reddish slipping, trying to keep the dribble alive. Brazdeikis has it.
Watch
Final
the
10
lob.
seconds. Nembhard to Barrett. The second time this half. They connect on the slam. Grimes off the mark. And the World, with a surge here late in the first half, take the lead to the locker room. Future Oregon Duck in the game to start this second half for the USA.
Dylan Brooks, career high last night.
Yes.
36 points for the rookie.
I just ran into Frank Jackson, who played in this game. He's sitting courtside. He's a member of the Pelicans. Didn't play this year because of an injury. Former Duke freshman. He's an outstanding high school player.
And I ran into George Ravling, the head of global basketball for Nike, who's just a wealth of wisdom.
You guys know everybody here.
This is the place to be. You got NBA scouts. You have the wonderful Warren McGarry, who runs the NBA Summer League courtside with us. High school people, college guys, no college coaches, of course.
Right. Now that time will come soon for evaluation of high school players. Of course, this mainly contains players from the class of 2018. It's the final organized game as high school players before they move on to their college teams, or in the case of Darius Baisley, getting ready for the G League.
It's also one of the first lines of a player's NBA resume with all those scouts here tonight. They've seen him, Paul, at the Jordan practices and games, the McDonald's practices, but because this is really a real game and not just an all-star game, these NBA guys want to see that competitive juices flowing and the intensity level.
I'll tell you what, though, the practices at the Jordan Brand Classic were better than the game.
Right.
And the McDonald's practices were very good. We had a close scrimmage, so the NBA's gotten a lot of looks at the senior class in 2018. It is. It's the last look. The next time we see these guys is going to be in college basketball next year.
Well, with the rules possibly changing also, these high school events are going to become more important if, in fact, the one-and-done rule goes away, which I think it will in the next 2 seasons. I think by 2020, there'll be no one-and-done.
Brazdakis the blow-by. Bol was at the rim, but Brazdakis still with the finish. How about the most draft-worthy players? You have the top 4 players in the ESPN 100, but check out at the bottom, Paul. Naz Reid headed to LSU. He's got quite the skill set that a lot of NBA scouts love.
I've talked to a lot of scouts, as Fran has, director of scouting, assistant GMs. Deep three by Quentin Grimes. They love Naz Reid. They love the body. They love the skill set. Those guys right now, after what they've seen from the McDonald's and Jordan Brand Classic coming into tonight, in their eyes are the most draft-worthy. Number 6 on that list would be Nazir Little, headed to North Carolina.
Yeah, and I honestly think Quentin Grimes will be one and done, the young man going to Kansas. And you know why? Not only is he going to be an NBA player someday, Paul, but he's getting an opportunity next year to play major minutes for a team that's in the top 5. He's got the first couple baskets in the second half. And he's going to get an opportunity to showcase what he does, which is big guard who can play both spots, shoot it, makes plays. I would be surprised if he's in Lawrence more than a year.
Josh Green got to the rim in the first half. Now he splashes in a 3.
Keep an eye on that name, Fran. Josh Green. Outstanding 2-guard. He'll be a point guard someday. Just has the whole game from a point guard perspective and a shooting guard perspective. You could call him a true combo guard. Athletic from Australia. I love his upside.
Here's Quentin Grimes, the young man we mentioned from Houston, Texas. Josh Green kind of has that Quentin Grimes kind of build. And Josh is an interesting story because he's only been in the States 3 years. And both mom and dad played professionally in Australia. And his dad played right in this area at Oregon Tech.
Josh plays at IMG. He's in the ESPN 60. He's in that top 25 of the 60, and I see him even moving up as the spring and summer circuit move on.
He moved up 11 spots from where he was in the summer to the updated rankings in mid-January, so Green is ascending.
It's good to know.
I need to have like a wild card vote on that stuff. You know?
Oh no!
I want to have a wild
another
card.
cook in the kitchen.
Yeah,
Paul, just what you need.
No, another Italian with an opinion.
Well, that wouldn't be so bad. Another Italian cook.
No, nobody does a better job than Paul because he sees everybody.
Trey Jones pulling up.
I just come in for the dessert.
Now Jones might be outside the top 3, unlike his future Duke teammates, but Cam Reddish has said it. Trey Jones is going to be the leader of that Duke team next year. Fiery point guard.
Well, Paul would know this like I do, but these guys, the USA basketball system over the last 12 or 15 years, since Coach K took over and Jerry Colangelo, more of these great young players have committed to playing in the under 16s, 17s, 18s. And so those 4 guys going to Duke, now 3 of them are Americans. RJ played against them. These guys are already comfortable with each other because they've been teammates in many situations.
And Coach K has gotten a good look at them at an early stage.
And let's not forget Don Showalter, who coaches the U17s and the U16s. He does an outstanding job because he's a head high school coach in Iowa who really teaches the game, and he demands these guys play hard.
Charles Bassey sticking with it after Bol blocked his shot.
Well, with Coach Showalter, he's really the junior national team coach. We now have a USA basketball system like everybody else around the world. The difference is because it's our game, we have the most players playing, but there's a more organized system for USA basketball than ever before.
Barrett trying to stick one in his future teammate's eye, off the mark.
Nice.
Garland the pull-up.
Just an unselfish possession by the USA team. Got a great look.
Oh, Barrett, a tomahawk!
Where's Bol Bol when you need him? I told you he would dunk on him.
There was nobody there for him.
Where's the big fella when you need him, USA?
Green wants another three. Barrett, the offensive board. Pass too hot, deflected by Jones. It'll stay with the world.
His years is one of the best in the NBA. You saw it the other night. It's like a college crowd, and they love their team, and they always have, going back to the early 70s when this franchise got started.
Got a good crowd here tonight as we have a few future NBA players on the court. Kofi Cockburn knocking down the jumper for the world. 6-point game here in the third quarter. Jones. Oh, swatted by Cockburn.
So they're playing a zone. You got Cole Swider out there, and Garland's a pretty good shooter too. Why not try to set those guys up?
Yeah, you can't get rim when you move up in levels. You have to understand it has to be the floater, the jump stop, and kick it out to the shooter, Fran. Exactly right. As you move up in levels, the floor shrinks.
Yeah, recognize it. Recognize who your teammates are.
U.S. coming back with his own as well. Neither team can really shoot well. Cole Swider, the best shooter on the court.
Board contested by Garland, had no chance.
Let's see if the world team stays in that 2-3 zone again.
I would not come out of this. I would not play the U.S. man-to-man. There's no reason to.
Neither team is shooting it well from the outside. Garland tries his hand at it, and he buries it. A three.
I like him. I know he can make that shot. Cole Swider can make that shot.
Darius Garland made that shot last night. Was very impressive in the scrimmage. I love the way he drives and kicks.
He might have been, you know, he may not be the best prospect right now, but I thought he had as good a night last night in that scrimmage against the college and high school stars.
Garland was looking for Grimes. He found the window instead.
That's the shot right there. Good move by Tre Jones, though, coming into the lane with the floater.
Garland, another three-pointer.
Of all the point guards, Fran, in the class, he is the most talented. He plays.
Yeah, he
plays with that talent, but sometimes he disappears in games. But he's got wiggle in his dribble. He's got the deep three.
Yeah.
Great passer.
He was my favorite last summer. I just like that he can defend. He shoots it. I think his playmaking's improved. Great kid. And that's a deep, deep shot. Look at that. That's beyond. That's Trae Young range. Steph Curry.
Dana Barros.
Yeah, Dana Barros.
Who liked that one today.
Who played at Boston College for Paul.
Darius Garland coming alive in this third quarter. He's tied things up, but Jalen Horde with the bucket and one at the other end for the world.
Now he's going to take the basketball next year for Bryce Drew at Vanderbilt. They have a top 10 recruiting class. They bring in Simi Shitu, big-time power forward. Aaron Naismith, an outstanding shooter from the state of South Carolina. And they're still working on Romeo Langford, who is here, but he's injured because of the elbow he took against Emmett Williams.
That is an incredible dynamic. Romeo Langford scored 3,000 points in high school. He's down to Kansas, where he'd probably play right away. Vanderbilt, where he'd play right away.
He'll play right away everywhere.
And Indiana, where, until Arch Miller and his staff must have done a really good job of getting back in the picture.
They weren't even in it until
Yeah.
Archie got the job, and he got them to the Final Three. Indiana, with a top 20 class next year, if they get Romeo Langford, it just blows up. I mean, he'd be a game changer in the state of Indiana.
Yeah. There's Romeo Langford. Decision day, April 30th.
That's what his dad, Tim, told me. Do it at the school, New Albany High School, in front of thousands of fans.
I think they get a bunch. How many?
We were there earlier this season, Fran, Paul and I, for a game between Romeo Langford's team, New Albany, against Darius Baisley and Princeton High School. There were 4,000 people in that gym, at least.
That's awesome. Indiana high school basketball.
Nothing like it.
It was better when they had no state classifications and it was just one tournament, in my opinion. But Still great tradition there. Some great high school players through the years coming out of the state of Indiana.
And Romeo Langford, 4th all-time in the state of Indiana, scoring #1. Still Damon Bailey, over 3,000 points.
Ford with the tip in, the world back on top. Now, Langford created some waves last week at the Jordan Brand Classic, taking a picture with Quentin Grimes. Could that be the future? A couple of Jayhawks. Langford will make his decision later this month. Ball the hook? No.
Yeah, and that's one of those things we talked about. For the moments of brilliance like that, then he's got to get stronger around the basket sometimes.
Here's the difference. You can coach him in the low post. What he just did with the quick dunk, you can't coach that.
Yeah.
But you can coach him to live low in the game, Fran, play with his back to the basket, locate the defense, and make a move. That quick jump, and check out the hands of Bol Bol in terms of catching passes. Watch this. Just hanging around the rim. A beautiful soft pass delivered by Garland. But Bol Bol catches everything that's near him, and I think that's so important as a big when you get close to the basket.
How about this? His late father, Manute, of course, the NBA phenom for 10 years, had one scholarship offer in 1983 from Cleveland State, and Bol Bol, his son, picks Oregon over Kentucky.
We know about that Cleveland State.
Coach Kevin Mackey.
Yeah. He ended up playing, he wasn't able to get into Cleveland State.
Went to Bridgeport.
And he went to play at Bridgeport. They played in the minor leagues for a while. Remember the USBL? Summer League?
Yep.
Yeah.
Manute Bol, 15th all-time shot blocker in the game. I mean, he had more block shots than points over 15 years.
Garland. He's got his third three of this third quarter.
This reminds me of a kid named Terrence Ferguson, Paul, 2 years ago. I think we're moving. Where's Darius ranked?
I'm not telling you. You got to look it up.
I'll tell you, he's number 13
He's
in
going
the
up.
ESPN 100.
He's inside the top 10.
Fran, Trey Jones or Darius Garland?
I'm taking Darius
Oh,
Garland.
you're going with the hot guy.
No, I saw him last summer at the
Last summer? I've seen him 100 times since then.
I'm just telling you what I see.
No, he's great. He's great.
This is my favorite guy. I mean, nothing against Trey Jones. He's a winner. But when I saw Darius Garland last summer with Dotson and the rest of those guys at Steph's camp, and he's been one of my favorites all year. Although, I'm watching college games.
I'll tell you this about Darius Garland. As Cole Swider maneuvers in the post and draws the foul. Garland's the only player in this game who has had a day named in his honor by his hometown. City of Brentwood near Nashville declared March 9th Darius Garland Day after he led Brentwood Academy to its 4th consecutive state championship.
See, that automatically moves him into the top 10.
Oh, but Trey Jones was the Gatorade Player of the Year in Minnesota.
No
but,
doubt.
hey, Darius Garland Day trumps that.
They're number 12 and 13 guys. We'll meet on this one more time, but it's close because they're both great, but they're different. Trey Jones, the better defender, probably the better driver, but scoring the basketball, Darius Garland, they both pass the ball.
How good is his defense, Darius Garland? I thought it was really good last summer.
It's good when he wants to. Trey Jones is an everyday defender. I mean, every day, Fran. He's on the ball and he's off the ball. He's engaged. A lot of these great players, because they're so good and gifted offensively, they don't play defense at the rate and the pace that they need to. And Trey Jones does it naturally. But you still like Darius Garland. I got you.
I like them both. I really do. There's something about Darius last summer because he can really, score, and I think his playmaking's gotten better, Paul.
Charles Bassey is closing in on a double-double for the world from Nigeria.
I saw Charles Bassey when he was 15 years old, and I saw him in Dallas, Paul. I think it was the first time anybody had ever seen him. And I was down in Houston, Texas. I was down in San Antonio for a speaking engagement, and 3 days later, because they were telling me down there, there's a 15-year-old Nigerian that's really good. 3 days later, I go to a tournament, Nino Dragonis' deal, freshman-sophomore camp in Dallas, and I couldn't believe how good he was at that age. And of course, now the rest of the country, and obviously you ranked him high, so.
And here's Fran's point guard, Darius Garland, to drive the kick.
To the guy.
How about Grimes? One catch, boom, one dribble, right to the rack. Catch,
Final
sweep, and go.
seconds, Garland. That doesn't take away from his third quarter overall.
His
3
ranking.
triples. Fran wants him ranked a little higher.
Can be the difference maker.
I love the effort. I'm impressed with the effort. Both teams, getting after it. They played a lot of basketball this season, both of these teams, but the effort's definitely there.
You know why, Fran, too? The coaching has been there. Mike Jones, Roy Rana have run outstanding practices. They've emphasized the importance of this game. And these guys are taking it seriously, and we can see that every possession.
And there's a history here with this game, and that's exactly why we like doing this game.
Great pass by Barrett.
Leandro Bolmaro from Argentina with his first points. He's played only a couple of minutes.
Yeah, I'm surprised. He's a young man that was at the Basketball Without Borders camp in LA at the All-Star break, and he can really shoot at something that both teams could use a little bit of tonight.
Comes from the same program that Manu Ginobili was in for a couple of years in the late 90s. In fact, Manu's older brother Seppo was the head coach of Weber Bahia Estudiantes in Argentina.
I was thinking about Darius Garland, and he reminds me a little bit of Jamal Murray. Jamal was bigger. Remember, Jamal had that incredible game here.
Goaltending.
Not really a point, not really a two, a little bit of both.
Scoring points guard. That's what they call him today. How about that rejection by Bassi?
Now remember the rule, the FIBA rules, if it hits the rim, you can swat it down, but you got to give that ball a chance to hit the rim first.
Number 11 in the black, Charles Bassi. 7'3.5" wingspan. He's number 3 in the junior class, which is quickly turning into the rising senior class after this weekend.
Yes.
Now those rankings, the final rankings for this class of 2018, the seniors, the ESPN 100, coming out Tuesday on ESPN.com. But Paul, as you know, recruiting never stops. And so we'll be moving forward with the players that are in the ESPN 60 at the moment.
Yeah, we'll be in Fran's neighborhood in Dallas.
Yeah.
All the tournaments are there. Under Armour, Nike.
I'll be there watching some of these future stars that we'll cover at the college level.
Andrew Nembhard at the line, one of those players. And speaking of 2019 players in the ESPN 60 at the moment, James Wiseman from Memphis at the top right now.
I spoke to him this afternoon. Kentucky's going to do a home visit for Wiseman, making him a priority. We saw Vern Carey, 6'10", just dominate Geico Nationals. And you see at the bottom, Matthew Hurt, 6'10", skilled in the state of Minnesota, all size in the class of 219 at the top.
Bolmaro, same spot, same shot, same result.
I'm no genius, but I'd leave that guy on the floor. Because the one thing he can do, and he's done it this week in the drills, is shoot the three.
Garland and Jones on the floor together for the U.S. Bol, the stick back inside.
Fran, I'm so impressed how quickly he gets off his feet for that second jump. The first jump, or maybe just reaches for the ball at 7-2, but then he gets up the second time very quick.
You know what's even more impressive about the second quick jump is that he is 7'2". He doesn't have to quick jump that high. But he's been impressive. It'll be interesting with him, with the way the NBA game has changed and how he affects the game. You had a great comparison earlier when we were off the air. You said Rudy Gobert from the Utah Jazz, 7'2", and somewhat agile and mobile, much like Bol. I saw Rudy when he was a young player, and Rudy's filled out nicely, and that's something that's going to be important to Bol's career. I say Bol, I get hungry. I think I'm going to Chipotle. For the Bol.
Look out below! R.J. Barrett, emphatic.
The explosiveness by Barrett just to turn a mistake or a missed shot into 2 quick points. He's an elite athlete.
Jordan Brown, the post up. Jank thought about it. With Bol lurking, he missed the layup, but Bassi doesn't miss the dunk. And Bassi's now in double figures. We've got a timeout with 6:55 remaining.
All the great things he did for people behind the scenes as well. So very controversial, polarizing figure, one of the great coaches in the history of the game. But certainly he had a share of moments that that people obviously had a major problem with.
Another goaltend.
Being in the Big 6'10" for 7 years, had a chance to game plan against him. Maybe nobody better in the game to game plan against and then him counter your game plan, friend. And Bob Knight always had an answer for whatever you brought to the table.
Here's Barrett. Off the mark with the three. He's got to improve that shot heading to Duke next year. Jalen Horde ends up with the dunk.
Yeah, and there's no question for the NBA level, that's going to be what takes him, you know, from a good NBA player to potential stardom is his ability to continue to work on that shot. The one thing I don't like about RJ's game at the moment, and there's not much to not like, is he doesn't miss at the, when he misses it, they're bad misses. You know, great shooters miss inside the rim, and his inconsistency with his shot is the one thing that he'll work on. But watch this save. This is the hustle we were talking about, Paul. This ball's going out of bounds. You say meaningless game. Look at Andrew Nembhard.
Great passer and the ability to save it and make the assist. This guy, Charles Bassey, I mean, he's just strength, power, great hands, and still trying to learn how to play with his back to the basket. But make no mistake about it, probably the biggest defensive enforcer beside James Wiseman in the class of 2019.
Double-double tonight, 11 points and 12 rebounds. Picked up the nickname Big Ticket when he was playing his high school ball in San Antonio a couple of years ago. Moved to Louisville to Aspire Basketball Academy. How about that? The same nickname as Kevin Garnett, another Nike Hoop Summit alum. Don't know what I think about that. There's only one big ticket. That's what I thought too, Frank.
There's nobody, I'd say maybe not nobody, but very few in the history of the game played as hard as Kevin Garnett did every single night. And if this young guy who's been impressive tonight plays hard all the time, then you're talking about a kid who's going to be very good. But to me, Paul, we talked about this. A lot of these terrific top 100 guys, the one thing I wish they'd understand is playing hard is a talent also. We never had to say this guy has a good motor in the old days, you know?
That was a given.
It was sort of a given. If he made that, he was going up to number 8. I'm telling you, we were moving. I was going to make Paul move him up to.
Fran's got the eraser on the pencil.
I did that with Terrence Ferguson a couple of years ago.
Yeah, you had him number 1 in the class after his performance here at the Hoop Summit. He shot, what, 5 for 7 for 3 that night?
I think he made 5 in a row. Remember the 5th one? As soon as he caught it, I said, that's good.
Brazdeikis with the lay-in. The world has its largest lead, now 11 with 5 minutes to go. Danger time for the U.S. Brazdeikis from the perimeter. Wow. Oh, the block shot.
Speaking about eraser, he just erases the shot. He erases your vision, Fran, at the rim. You can't see the rim with Bol in the game. Coached Canada to the gold medal in the FIBA U19 championships. He's going to put the ball in RJ's hands down the stretch. He's comfortable with that.
Oh, no, sir. Yet again, Bol just will not allow the ball to touch the rim.
This is great. And you know what you love about it? He's 7'2", but he's engaged. Look at him. Thinking, waiting, watching, and lurking.
Horde comes down with the rebound and a foul.
When you think about guys going to college next year, Bol has to be at the top in terms of a game changer. Dana Altman can do so many things with him on the floor, Fran. The class they bring in, Louis King, a really smooth scoring small forward. I love Will Richardson, the point guard at Oak Hill Academy. Miles Norris, a good athlete. You put Bol in the back of that press, you can gamble, you can pressure. There it is again.
His 3rd block this trip down the floor.
Call him the Eclipse.
Yeah, remember, Kenny Wooten had a terrific freshman year blocking shots as well. So those guys are behind. Hey,
now Cockburn.
Exactly.
Green, right down Main Street, the bucket and the foul.
Ted, you mentioned it earlier about R.J. Barrett being an alpha dog. This kid at the line, Josh Green, he's an alpha dog, only a junior. Plays at IMG. Tough kid, skilled, good athlete.
When you think of Australians, you know, you don't always think of great athletes. Although they are coming over here getting better. Ben Simmons, by the way, not a bad athlete.
No kidding.
He was number 1, by the way.
Yeah. Did you have him number 1?
Yes.
You know, there were some people who did mock drafts who did not have him number 1.
No, I had him number 1 in high school.
Not you.
Yeah.
Not you.
Right.
I remember when Brandon Ingram was on some mock drafts as the number 1 pick. Think about the absurdity of that based on what Ben's done. But Aussie kids are tough kids. That's what I like about Josh Green.
Grimes making the last-second decision to drop it off to Bol Bol. Future Oregon Duck.
You know who's been quiet tonight, Paul? Cam Reddish. We haven't really called his name much.
Wearing number 7 in the white, and that has been the case at times here throughout his senior season. One knock on him, even though he's 3rd in the ESPN 100.
Well, he scored 53 points in a high school game this year, and there are possessions he disappears. Extremely skilled with the ball. I think he's going to be.
How many losses did his team have? They had 10 losses.
At
Westtown,
yeah.
They had 10 losses.
That's a lot.
That's
for
a lot.
a kid like him,
Yes.
no question.
That was a red flag to me. And when I've been around him at these camps, tremendous talent. I just want to see more out of him more often.
I think he's a kid, Fran, who's just going to blossom late. It may be late in his freshman year. It may be
Nothing wrong with that.
his 2nd year in college. Who knows? But this kid, R.J. Barrett, he brings it every game, every possession. He's shooting the ball really bad tonight, right from the outside, but he still brings the energy, the engagement.
Grimes full speed ahead and just off target.
So the guys that have impressed me tonight that I think are going to be stars, Quentin Grimes and Darius Garland. These other guys are going to be stars too. I love those 2 guys, just from watching tonight.
And meanwhile, Bol Bol, who will play his college ball at Oregon 2 hours south of here, is closing in on a triple-double with points, rebounds, and blocked shots.
We talked about it off air. He was the one guy who could get 20, 10 rebounds, and 5 blocks. Bol Bol.
10 blocks.
Yeah, right.
5 blocks, you're selling him short.
Well, he wasn't playing hard up until this week. But he has turned on the switch, and hopefully, for his sake, and Oregon's sake, he'll keep that switch on because he is an extraordinary talented.
The U.S. has to turn on the switch defensively here in the final 2 minutes. That's not going to help. Trey Jones commits the foul on Andrew Nembhard.
And I love the way they've tried to play as a team, as a unit. They're not trying to go off on their own and just take any shot they wanted. They're trying to stick to the game plan that the coaches have put in. R.J. Barrett has really been the difference for the world team.
He's got 21 points to go with 8 rebounds, 6 assists, and 5 steals. And Barrett said it earlier this week, the McDonald's All-American game, you showcase your individual ability. This is a serious game. We want to beat the USA, and the world is closing in on its first win in this event in 3 years. Reddish not even close on that flip.
Coach Roy Rana trying to get to 4-4 in his career. You mentioned it earlier, last time he won, Jamal Murray exploded in this game, now the Denver Nuggets.
Ben Simmons was on that team as well. Massey missing down low. U.S. has to hurry now. Garland, the floater.
Pretty move.
Man. Move him up, Paul. Move him up.
I
He's
hate you,
13.
Fran.
I want him up. I want him up to about 10.
You want him at 10?
You know what? Honestly, I can't wait to watch him next year. Because
You tell me who the other 9 guys are, and I'll move them to 10.
I'll look at the list.
No, you got to do it now.
Well, remember
Who do you move out?
Carl
I know,
Towns.
come on, tell me who to move out.
Carl Towns was number 9. I wanted him moved up that year.
He didn't play hard, and then all of a sudden
Oh,
he
come
played.
on.
He didn't play hard in high school. Come on. Who was number 1?
I know Darius Garland is to me, he's my favorite guard in this class.
All right, I'll put you on the
Wait
spot.
a minute.
here.
Carl
Please.
Anthony Towns didn't start playing hard until he started playing for Thibodeau.
No, that's not
Okay.
true. No, that's not true. Remember here in this game, he played inside finally.
Yes.
He did play inside. Go ahead, put me on the spot.
I'll put you both on the spot. Is there a player in this game or in the senior class overall that will make somewhat close to a Trae Young impact next year from outside the top 20 in the rankings?
Well, that's a good question. Now, that's something he would probably know a little more because he knows the list from 1 to 100 and beyond. You got somebody in mind that you think could?
That's a great question. I'm going to give it a second thought.
Well, I don't think Kevin Porter is going to be that kind of guy, but he could. What we saw this week.
I tell you who I love and doesn't get a lot of publicity, Jalen Carey, who's going to Syracuse from New Jersey. He's a guy who can put up
4 players in the top 50 for LSU.
He studies the list.
Well, and I would say,
You're welcome, Paul.
I would say this: if Naz Reid is listening, if he learns to play hard longer, he could dominate the SEC.
He could be like Bol Bol. He
Without
could
a doubt.
dominate college basketball. And Bol Bol can do it, Naz Reid can do it. But those guys got to learn that it's every day, every possession, till the end of the possession.
How about the world getting stops down the stretch? And the ball in the hands, the man they would want in this situation, R.J. Barrett. Oh, the spin. And Barrett once again drawing contact.
Now that's another part of his game. He creates fouls. And when he gets to college, he gets that deep frame. He's going to kick it out. We've seen his playmaking ability. Heavy left-handed, got to learn how to go to his right. Look, all these guys, every single one of them, we've talked about it off here, they have holes in their game. They have areas of growth that they got to improve on. But Barrett, #1 in this class. And I think after that, then we have to make some decisions who moves inside the top 10. But I think after this performance and what he's done this year, I think he stays at 1.
Well, from what I've seen of these guys, you know, over the summer and sometimes during the season, I just love the energy he plays with. He loves to compete, and that is a big thing with a guy that talented.
Grimes couldn't lay it home. Final seconds. The world taking control in this 4th quarter. And for the first time since 2015, the World Select Team victorious here at the Nike Hoop Summit. 89-76 the final.